Hey guys, this is Chris and Jason at the PPC Questions and Answers show. I'm Chris, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, you ready for a question from Angel today?
Man, I've been looking forward to it.
This is a very good question. Angel gave a lot of details, so we're gonna shorten some of it and just get straight to the question that she was asking. She is basically having issues with impressions. She's not getting, she's working in a small budget, competitive industry. Her impression volume is very low. So she's having problem with, getting traffic. In order to get clicks, you have to get impressions. She's having trouble with the first step, impressions. So I think Jason and I have some very good suggestions on how to improve this. Jason, what do you think? You want to hit the first two suggestions?
Yeah. I've never had this problem myself, so I'm speaking for a friend here. No, I'm just kidding, Chris. It happens a lot.
Right.
It happens sometimes. You think you do everything right. You get in there and you press go, and then not much happens. And you're like, okay, what did I miss? So a couple ways I like to do this, Chris. Number one is, I'm going to take the easy ones, Chris. Your location, geo. Sometimes, and Chris, this happens with a lot of new to AdWords advertisers. They might have a business, say, in Detroit, and then they put in Detroit into AdWords as where they want to target. But if you don't do the Detroit metro and you just do the Detroit city, it's going to cut out the city lines of Detroit. And there's a lot of cities in the country, Chris, where you may call it Atlanta, you may call it Detroit, you may call it Charlotte, but the actual city limits itself is pretty small and not generally what people think of as those big cities or where the business can service people. So you may want to look at your geo settings and see, okay, can you expand it? Should you do a radius around the area, a big radius? Should you target the region? Should you target counties? Just looking at your locations and making sure that you're not missing anything. And if you have room to expand, go big and go about as big as the business can service. And then you'll get more impressions. I mean, it may not fix your problem, but you'll definitely get more impressions. The next thing, Chris, is schedule. This is another easy one just to, knock out and make sure you're doing it. Is if you're not getting the right amount of impressions, maybe the person only wanted to run half the day, or they said, we can only take calls in the afternoon or whatever. Well, that's not good enough if you're not getting enough impressions. Widen your schedule to basically 24/7 if they have a lead form, and just see what comes in. So, Chris, those are the two easy ones. After that, it gets a little bit harder.
Yeah, and I'll say it. I mean, I was working with a campaign just this week where I launched it, check on it, and nothing. And then check on it again, nothing. Check on it, nothing. I mean, no impressions, no activity. So this is something very familiar. And any AdWords manager that's going to have any kind of diversity in their industries are going to run into this. And so Jason went through the first two. Here's another two tips. Broaden your keywords. Okay. Phrase and exact are only going to go so far. And I'm not advocating, adding more keywords. If you have 20 phrase match keywords, I'm not saying you need to go add 2,000. What I'm saying is you need to broaden your keywords as far as the match type goes. Okay. We have an episode called How to Do Broad Keywords the Right Way. Okay. Using broad keywords can help you generate volume. Okay. And you can do it without getting a bunch of junk. And there is a right way to do it. If you're getting very little impression on your keywords, day after day after day, try broad keywords, but make sure you do it the right way. Go back and listen to that episode. Bids is another one. Okay. Now it's important that you don't assume your position when you decide on whether your bid should go up or down. There is another factor. It's called lost impression share. Okay. Lost impression share will tell you how much of the search pie your ads are able to cover. Okay. If you're only covering 30%, and you're having impression volume, the issue is likely budget or bids. Okay. And you cannot always judge your bids based on your average position. So what you need to do is you need to look at your search impression share, and you need to look at your search impression share lost due to ad rank. Look for that in your columns. Make sure you add that in your columns. Check out that number. If you're seeing 70%, 80%, 90%, that's an issue. You're going to need to push those bids. Make sure, be aggressive with them. Get them out there. Make sure you have some solid bids that will get you more impressions, because you can't be afraid of trying to get clicks if the cost per click is too high. You know, if you're sure you're going to get good clicks and this is going to be the right kind of quality, then don't be afraid to put some solid bids out there, just to at least start getting some data. So,
yep.
Jason, is that about it? Or you got another one?
Yeah, I've got some just tips for the advanced users out there. Wanted to throw these by you as well. One thing is for the new users, the first one, budgets. I've seen some people set their budgets too small relative to the cost per click. So say your industry cost per click is $6 and you have your daily budget set at $8 or $6 or $5. You may be stopping your ads from even showing. So set a larger daily budget. Whenever I run into this issue, and again, folks, it's very, very rare that I run into this issue. Chris, I'd like to set accelerated delivery as opposed to standard, just so I have some peace of mind that, like, okay, I really am trying to max it out and I'm still not getting impressions. And then just to get that last little bonus, squeeze it out, those impressions, set the languages to all languages, because if someone searches for your keyword in English, they're going to be a good user anyway because they speak English, or a good prospect that you want to get in front of. So you can go to all languages. And then if you're only on google.com searches, you can add in the partner network and squeeze out a few more impressions. So
yeah, good tips there. Yeah, definitely. And just to be clear, with the language, when you change it and include Spanish or Chinese or Italian or whatever, to be clear, it does not mean when they type in a Spanish keyword that you get, that you're going to show an ad. It's something very different in the way that it approaches, what the language means. But Jason's basically saying if they type in English, then they can get your ad. Chris,
if the only way they'll see your ad, even if their language is set to a different language on their Chrome browser, is they have to type in your keywords, and your keywords are in English for most of our listeners. Yeah. But the one thing to watch out for, Chris, and no, I don't know this off the top of my head. Yes, I had to take the partner exams last week, so that's fresh. If the keyword, Chris, you're going to be impressed by this, in their language is spelled, the word they're searching is spelled the same in their language as your keyword in English. So like the word Monday in Spanish means what? In our language, it means the day of the week. So that's an example of, like, not that anyone would target the word Monday, but it's like if you're targeting the word moving companies, and then in French, the word spelled out moving companies was something like how to use the bathroom. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? So like if in their language, they're writing out the keyword, but they're not meaning it, that's the only way you can get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Well, that's it, guys. Hope that was helpful, Angel. Thanks for sending in your question. If you would like to send in your question, you can visit us at paidsearchpodcast.com. Submit your question there, and we promise we'll eventually get to your question. There's quite a few, but we're cranking through them. Great questions, everybody. We'll catch you next time.